Hello, I'm Elara. I vividly recall how my heart leaped with excitement as I made my way down the aisle, and how my white gown's delicate rustling acted as a whisper of all the hopes and ambitions I had raised for this particular day. Nathan just stood there, his eyes shining with what I thought was admiration and affection. A few weeks into our honeymoon, the first fissure in our perfect world started to show. I had begun on the chore of arranging our budget and invoices with the eagerness of a newlywed, ready to make our nest. I said, "Hey, Nathan," as I flipped through some papers. "I noticed your last two salary deposits aren't reflecting in our account. Did something happen at work?" Nathan, who was reading a magazine while relaxing on the couch, glanced up briefly, his face hard to decipher. He shrugged casually and said, "Oh, that. Yeah, they're doing some restructuring at the office. Pay's been delayed, but it should be sorted soon." I scowled a little as a persistent concern began to emerge. "Restructuring? You didn't mention that before. Is everything okay with your job?" He gave me a comforting grin, the one that always made my worries go away. "Everything's fine, Elara. Don't worry, it's just a temporary glitch. You know how these corporate things are." I was tempted to trust him. I had to trust him. I chose to ignore my worries and concentrate on the love that had united us. A couple more weeks went by, and my discomfort increased. Temporary problems seemed to be extending forever. I thought it was time to face the elephant in the room one evening while we were having supper. "We need to talk about the finances, Nathan," I said in a stern but kind manner. "I'm worried because your salary hasn't come in yet. We have commitments, and I can't handle them alone on my salary." A moment of stillness lingered between the two of us. Nathan let out a groan and put down his fork, averting his eyes from mine. "Elara, I think it's time I told you the truth." "The truth? What do you mean?" I said, feeling a wave of fear sweep over me as my pulse skipped a beat. He inhaled deeply, and his voice was a mixture of guilt and hesitation when he spoke. I lost my job a couple of months ago, right before our wedding. I didn't know how to tell you. I was afraid of how you'd react." I sat there in quiet, taken aback. The words reverberated in my mind, each sound like a blow to the universe we had created. You were unemployed all this time? And you didn't think to tell me?" His voice was hardly audible above a whisper when he said, "I was scared, Elara. In my family, a man who can't provide is considered a failure. I couldn't bear the thought of you seeing me that way." I was filled with a raging tempest of anger, pain, and betrayal that threatened to overtake my love and trust for him. "Nathan, how could you keep this from me? Marriage is about trust, about facing challenges together. How can we do that if you're hiding such a crucial thing?" His fingers trembled a little when it touched mine as he extended out. Nathan said, "I'm sorry, Elara," in a tearful voice. "I thought I could fix it before it affected us. I didn't want to burden you with my problems." "But that's the only thing, Nathan," I murmured, removing my hand. "They're not just your problems anymore. They're ours. We're supposed to be partners, remember? How can we be partners if you're keeping such important things from me?" Nathan had a downcast expression on his face, maybe due to dread mixed with remorse. "I know I messed up. I didn't want to disappoint you. You had this image of me, and I didn't want to shatter it." My voice trembling with passion, I replied, "But by not telling me, you've shattered something far more important, my trust in you. I don't know how we're going to get past this." His eyes eventually locked with mine as he stretched for my hand once again. "Please, Elara, give me a chance to make this right. I'll find a job. I'll fix this. Just don't give up on me. On us." I turned to face the guy I had promised to live a lifetime with, only to find him a stranger concealed behind a facade of lies and secrets. The future we had imagined seemed to be a far-off mirage that was vanishing faster and faster every second. "I want to believe you, Nathan," I said, my heart hurting. "But it's not just about finding a job. It's about honesty, trust. It's about whether we truly know each other at all." A profound sensation of doubt sprang over me as I turned to leave Nathan seated at the table. The future was obscured by uncertainty and deceit, making it difficult to predict. And that's when I saw that the ideal I had held in such high regard could have been nothing more than a dream, brittle and transient. As I dealt with the day-to-day difficulties of being the only provider, I started to feel burdened by Nathan's dishonesty and his mother's incessant demands. I had no clue my perseverance would be put to the test in front of the whole family at the forthcoming supper. Nathan's parents were hosting a family dinner, which was meant to be a happy event. In the hopes of leaving a positive impression, I had spent hours getting ready. The room was alive with chatter and laughing as we sat down to dine. I made an effort to interact, nodding and grinning, but my focus was diverted by the weight of Nathan's secret. Then, the main meal was presented, and Nathan grabbed everyone's attention by standing up with a glass in his hand. "I would like to make a toast," he said with a strong tone and a broad grin. I looked up at him, anticipating a thank you note or maybe a joke. Rather, what transpired left me motionless. "I want to toast to my incredible wife, Elara," he said. Cheers rang across the room, but his next words were like a stab to my heart. "Little does she know, I'm the true breadwinner of our household. My hard work keeps us afloat." There was a round of applause. My cheeks burned with perplexity and humiliation. Why does he lie? With my heart racing in my chest, I thought. I attempted to say something, but Nathan didn't seem to notice that I was uncomfortable. "You know, Elara does her best, but we all know it's me who brings in the big bucks. She loves her little shopping sprees, all on my dime, of course. The chuckles became louder. I scanned the table for an alley, but all I saw were pleased expressions. My throat constricted till I was hardly able to speak. "Nathan, why are you saying this?" He gave me a wink, as if we were both privy to some inside joke. "Just lightening the mood, darling. Everyone loves a humble wife." Nathan's mother, Meredith, spoke out, her tone laced with irony. "Oh yes, we're so grateful to Nathan. Poor Elara. Where would she be without him?" The dialogue deteriorated, with every jest and jab striking me deeply. I felt smaller and smaller as I sat there with my food unfinished. Not only was the guy I had trusted and loved lying to me, but he was also making fun of me in front of his whole family. This was a betrayal of all we had worked so hard to build, not just a simple falsehood. I was so embarrassed during the family meal that I started to doubt my marriage and my own value. Nathan's sister, Sophia, came out to me at this vulnerable time, providing much-needed support and an unexpected viewpoint. Sophia has always seemed like a part of my universe, although one that is a little removed. However, I saw a shift in her as the days stretched into weeks when we were living with Nathan's family. She seemed more personable, even kind. Sophia and I finally had a heart-to-heart on a calm Tuesday night. Sophia entered the kitchen while I was sipping tea and lost in concentration. Hesitantly, "Elara, can we talk?" she said. Surprised, I nodded. "Of course, Sophia. Is everything okay?" Her face was serious as she leaned on the counter. "I've been meaning to talk to you about Nathan and my mom." A knot formed in my gut. Trying to seem nonchalant, I said, "What about them?" Sophia exhaled. "I've seen how they've been treating you. It's not right. Nathan, he's not who he pretends to be. And Mom, she can be difficult." Looking down at my tea, I had a mixture of anxiety and comfort. I said, "I've begun to notice that." Sophia took a step closer, speaking in a whisper. "Elara, you deserve better. Nathan has always been the golden boy in our family, but he's far from perfect. Mom has always doted on him, ignoring his faults. They're not good for you." My eyes started to water. I thought marrying Nathan was going to be the start of a happy life, but now I'm just so lost. Sophia softly caressed my arm with her outstretched hand. "I've been through my share of troubles with them too. I know it's hard to see now, but you're not alone. I'm here for you." Her words soothed my distressed heart. "Thank you, Sophia. I don't even know where to begin to fix this mess." "Together, we'll work it out," Sophia said. "But first, you need to know exactly what you're dealing with. Nathan and Mom, they're not going to change. You need to think about what's best for you." Although Sophia's assistance came as a surprise, It was the lifeline I much needed. I became aware of the more profound problems in Nathan's family thanks to Sophia's observations and experiences, which also let me know that I wasn't the only one going through difficult times. This realization gave me a renewed sense of purpose and made me consider taking drastic action to take back control of my life. I was sitting by myself in our poorly lighted living room with stillness falling over me like a thick blanket. My thoughts replayed the events of the last several months, a never-ending cycle of deceit and despair. I was burdened by Nathan's falsehoods about his work, the debt, and his mother Meredith's never-ending demands. As the mansion echoed with the sound of its grandfather clock striking 10, it served as a constant reminder that it was becoming late. Nathan's footsteps caught my attention, and soon I saw him standing at the doorway with a perplexed expression. I continued, "Nathan, we need to talk," in a calm voice that was laced with an obvious exhaustion. His brow furrowed as he entered and sat across from me. "What's wrong, Elara? You seem different." "Different?" I said again, on the verge of mockery. "Maybe I am. Nathan, I can't continue living this lie. Your unemployment, the financial strain, your mother's constant demands. It's all too much." Nathan's face went from being perplexed to being protective. "I thought we were managing fine. You've been doing great, covering for us." Saying, "Covering for us?" made me chuckle bitterly. "No, Nathan, I've been covering for you, and for Meredith. I'm tired of being used as a financial crutch while you play house." His voice became softer as he leaned forward. "Elara, I didn't want things to turn out this way. I was going to find a job. I really was. But things got complicated." "Complicated?" I said, raising my voice in echo. "You mean you got comfortable? Comfortable with me working tirelessly while you and your mother sit back and judge me?" Nathan extended his hand, but I drew back. "Elara, please, let's not fight. We can work this out." My heart raced with a mixture of resolution and rage, asking, "Work this out?" "Nathan, there's nothing left to work out. I've made my decision. I'm going to see a lawyer about an annulment." His face became pale. "An annulment? Elara, you can't be serious. We're married. We made vows." "Vows?" The word had a bitter flavor. "You broke those vows when you decided to deceive me, to use me. I'm done, Nathan. I deserve better." He got up and begged with his eyes. "Elara, please. I love you. We can fix this. I'll find a job. We'll start over." I shook my head, experiencing an odd epiphany. "It's too late, Nathan. I can't live with someone who sees me as nothing more than a paycheck. I need to find happiness again, and I can't do that with you." I got up and left Nathan in the living room, his cries going unheard as I moved on. It was time for me to make a fresh start and get out of this nightmare. The weight of what I was about to do was quite apparent to me as I sat across from Sophia in the little corner cafe that we had selected as our covert meeting place. However, I was filled with a resolve that had been stoked by humiliation and treachery. I blurted out, "It's unbelievable that I'm actually doing this," while idly stirring my coffee. "Submitting an annulment. It seems so definitive." Sophia stretched across the table and momentarily covered my face with her hand. "You're regaining control of your life, Elara. Nathan's dishonesty and his mother's avarice are not something you have to put up with." I nodded, feeling both empowered and nervous at the same time. "Yes, but it's unsettling. I have never previously confronted them in such a manner," Sophia whispered conspiratorially, leaning in to say, "Listen, you're not just standing up to Nathan and Meredith. You're establishing a standard for yourself. You're announcing that you won't be ignored." I exhaled deeply and slowly. "All right, I've already had a legal consultation. I'm giving Nathan an eviction notice and submitting an annulment petition." Sophia's gaze expanded. "A notice of eviction?" "Yes," I replied. "I'm taking back my space. I'm not merely cutting my connections. He must understand that he can no longer swindle me." Sophia gave a nod of approval. "What about Meredith, then?" With a tinge of newly discovered cunning, I gave a little smile. She will quickly learn the truth. The truth will come to light when Nathan gets served with the documents. The following hour was devoted to talking about schedules, logistics, and possible responses. Sophia pledged to be there for me no matter what, and provided her steadfast support. I felt a feeling of camaraderie with Sophia as we were ready to leave, a kinship strengthened by hardship. I'm grateful, Sophia. Without you, I don't believe I could do this. She smiled comfortingly at me. You underestimate your strength, Elara. It's about time they all realized that. I had a whirlwind of feelings going through me as I was leaving the cafe: exhilaration, dread, and most importantly, a passionate resolve. I was prepared to take on the challenges that were ahead of me. The devious reign of Nathan and Meredith was about to come to an abrupt end. I felt it was time to bring everything into the open on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. I entered Nathan's family living room, where a relaxed family get-together was in progress, and my pulse began to race. There, laughing and conversing, Nathan and Meredith were oblivious to the approaching storm. I cleared my throat, maintaining a steady tone despite my internal turmoil. Nathan, Meredith, I have something important to discuss. It's about our marriage and the truth. Nathan glanced up, a glint of worry appearing on his face. Elara, what's going on? You look serious? Meredith waved dismissively, one of her usual quick-witted conversationalist tendencies. Oh, let me guess. More drama about money? I inhaled deeply. Actually, yes, it is about money. And honesty. Nathan, do you remember telling everyone how you're the breadwinner of our family? With a smug look on his lips, he nodded. Of course I take care of my family. I let out a resentful chuckle. That's a lie, Nathan. I have been the one paying for everything. Your job? You lost it months ago, but you didn't have the courage to tell anyone. The space became quiet. A panicked expression replaced Nathan's grin. Meredith's stunned eyes grew wider. At last, Meredith said, Nonsense. My son would never lie about something like that. Trying to gather his thoughts, Nathan stumbled and said, Elara, why are you doing this? Why embarrass us like this? With a steely determination, I held my ground. Because I'm tired, Nathan. Tired of the lies, the deceit. You let me support you financially, yet you humiliated me in front of your family, making me out to be the moocher. With a raised scream of rage, Meredith turned to face Nathan. Is this true, Nathan? Have you been lying to me? Nathan averted his eyes from hers, his silence confirming what was true. I went on, I've filed for an annulment, Nathan, and Meredith, you should know that the monthly allowance you so eagerly wait for, that was from me, not Nathan. Meredith's face became somewhat whiter, and she opened and closed her lips in a fish-out-of-water manner. But why would you do that? Because I believed in a marriage based on mutual respect and support, not lies and manipulation, I replied with a stern tone. When Nathan did say anything, it was little more than a whisper. Elara, please, However, I had had enough of listening. No, Nathan, it's over. I suggest you start looking for a job because I won't be there to support you or your mother anymore. I turned around and left the room after that, leaving the astonished stillness in my wake. Though my heart was heavy, I experienced freedom and clarity for the first time in a very long time. Though there had been a wide range of feelings in life following Nathan and Meredith, one feeling in particular stuck out: liberty. I had taken back control of my life, my money, and, most significantly, my sense of value. Sitting in my living room with the light shining through the window, I couldn't help but be happy with the tranquility I had discovered in being by myself. There was a peaceful stillness until the phone rang. It was Sophia, Nathan's sister, and a surprise ally for me throughout the upheaval. I smiled in response. Hey, Sophia, how are you? She would always say, Elara, I'm good, just checking in. How are you holding up? With a warmth in her voice that I had learned to love. I twirled a strand of my hair and said, I'm actually doing really well. It's strange, but I feel freer than I have in years. I'm so glad to hear that. You deserve this peace, Elara. After all that chaos, it's time for you. With a sigh, I felt like a burden had lifted. I never realized how much of myself I had lost in trying to please Nathan and Meredith. It's like I'm rediscovering who I am. Sophia said with genuine interest. That's the spirit. So, any plans for the day? I laughed and said, a little excited, actually, yes. I'm heading out to a painting class. Always wanted to try it, never had the time before. That sounds amazing. You know, you've inspired me too, Elara. Seeing you stand up for yourself, it's made me reconsider a lot of things in my own life. Our discussion, which touched on goals, desires, and the need of speaking out for oneself, went well. In the beginning, Sophia's assistance had been like a lighthouse in a dark tunnel. Feeling a closeness that had arisen from shared tragedy, I offered, I should get going, Sophia, but let's catch up soon. Maybe over coffee? I'd love that. Take care, Elara, and enjoy your class. I was overcome with thankfulness for Sophia as I hung up. Our relationship, built through adversity, had grown stronger. I cast a quick look at the blank canvas I had propped up in my room's corner, ready to be painted with hues and designs. It served as a metaphor for where I was in life at the time, a blank canvas on which I could draw my own conclusions and aspirations. I wasn't just heading to a painting lesson today, I was starting a new chapter in my life, one in which I would be responsible for my own happiness and decisions. Though the future held uncertainty, it felt liberating for the first time in a long time.